We begin tonight with the concept of a Denver painter and photographer who became intensely interested in his African roots, his own ancestors, and how they live on in his genealogy. He took his idea to a teacher, a man who has amassed one of the most remarkable collections of African tribal art you've ever seen. The result brings together identity and art. Echoes of the past are in each of these contemporary photographic portraits, not only in the historical objects of African art, but in the very DNA of each model. For this unusual project, photographer Thomas Detour Evans asked each model to have their own family tree analyzed via the DNA tool at Ancestry.com so that he could display their identity alongside each image.
The story behind my curiosity with genetics and DNA testing and history came about when I moved to Tanzania for volunteer work and came back after doing a DNA test over there and finding out my roots. So I was really curious, and everyone I was telling the story to was also curious about their own lineage after I told them my story.
Evans found ready interest in his idea at Denver's Red Line Gallery, where there's a commitment to art sparking community conversation about social change.
We can provide a platform and really just get out of their way, because if we get out of their way, wonderful things will happen. When you're thinking about your heritage and your ancestry and how you identify, which is alive in our country today, and people are thinking about this every day.
You really get to find out exactly what is someone made of.
And it was through Redline that Evans learned of what turned out to be a gold mine.
So that's quite a spectacular piece, I think.
When he met a retired educator and historian who has been collecting African identity in the form of masks and other tribal artifacts for more than 30 years.
My name is Paul Hamilton. I'm obsessed with African art. I have many, many pieces.
Over 900, you say?
Yes, over 900 pieces.
In a lifetime of Black studies, Paul Hamilton has made visits to Africa and come to know many other experts and traders, connections that helped him build his breathtaking collection. It fills his two-story home and garage.
And the tradition is...
Someday he hopes it will end up in a museum where it can be accessible to more young artists like Evans.
I think one of the biggest things for everybody to really realize is that how important African art is. That it is the foundation for what we call modern art. Picasso and his friends got their ideas a lot directly from African art. Picasso had a large collection himself. In African art, it's very different from European art. It's a whole. It's not separated out. So the religion, the education, the community, the marriage, everything is all brought together in one. It was a part of a ritual. It was a part of ceremonies. It was a part of honoring your ancestry, but it wasn't looked upon as separate art.
It was after seeing Paul Hamilton's collection that Thomas Detour Evans, whose first love is painting, began developing the idea for an art project that would fuse past and present, Africa and America.
Art for me is totally subjective. It's really just creating something new and expressing yourself.
And how better to express himself and introduce others to the identity of personal heritage, Evans thought.
This photo is of my friend Panama Soweto, a local poet, activist, all-around creative.
Than to present the connections between people and their ancestors in a new way.
What I really want people to take away from this exhibition is having that curiosity about oneself, and then understanding that in the end, we're all made of all these different parts of the world, because no one person is exactly the same as another person.
And that conversation is going on a lot around the country. So we now have people who don't identify with the traditional racial designations. And so that's part of the identity question.
Myself, I said I was like 4% Irish, 4% Great Britain. Other individuals were up to 20% Irish, 20% Scandinavian. When you look at skin tones and somebody on the surface, it's like doesn't really tell, even a fraction of the story about how they came to be, their lineage. It shows you, someone who looks so different can be really, just the same as you are.
Evans and Hamilton involved community members with an interest in African American identity and helped them choose objects from the Hamilton collection that reflected their own lineage. Evans also enlisted a co-creator, Tia Lisa Anthony, and together they scouted imaginative locations.
One of my favorite shots is in the Colorado sand dunes,
where the past and the present could be combined in unexpected ways for unforgettable images. Anthony worked behind and in front of the camera.
Once I placed myself in front of the camera, it changed my practice, it changed my view on art, and it changed my view on my identity myself. The family structure is one of our most important things in our thread, in life. Well, that's why I included my husband and my daughter.
Well, the images, I wanted it to be more of African artifacts that you would see or would associate with history long ago and bring it into that modern context and modern environment, in the modern street corners and alleyways, and so bringing that history into the present.
At Redline, the intriguing concept drew hundreds of gallery goers. Many went away wondering about the diversity of their own family tree.
This is that capstone project that I really want people to walk away and have their lives changed. This is your lineage, and this is a part of you, so this culture that you didn't really know about and you know about now, it's like they still live within you.
I'd like them to take away that unique and diverse cultures are an asset to humanity.
Africa is the birthplace of all modern humanity. Everybody is an African.
You can see this full collection of photographs by Thomas Detour Evans online at theystilllive.com.